For many people, the only thing that makes us different from the rest of the animals is intelligence or the ability we have to decipher and understand the world around us. Of course, we owe this ability to the brain. That is why today we want to talk about the superpowers and facts about the brain that you will not believe. The brain, the main element of the central nervous system, CNS, is located inside the skull, submerged in the cerebrospinal fluid that protects it. It is estimated to have an average weight of between 1 to 3 and 1 to 5 kilograms and can be defined as a complex organ, perhaps the most important in the human body. It is responsible for intelligence, interpretation of the senses, behavioral control, learning and initiation of body movements. It also controls other functions in the body without us having to think about it, such as breathing and heart rate. The brain is impressive, and also modern technological developments have helped collect an enormous amount of data. Much remains a mystery. Savant syndrome, and whoever has it, is able to remember and interpret millions of pieces of data. It is regularly associated with a type of autism, and the person is born with it. However, there are some cases where individuals, due to traumatic events, have developed it. On September 13, 2002, Jason Paget, 31, a Washington furniture salesman, was beaten and assaulted by two men after leaving a karaoke bar. He survived the vicious attack, but was knocked unconscious and suffered a severe concussion. Shortly thereafter, he noticed that his own vision changed, and also he realized that he had developed remarkable math skills. Paget began to see patterns in everything he looked at, and to draw complex geometric figures, grids and fractals, as he shapes and angles everywhere in real life. Paget later explained, "It's really beautiful." He seemed to intuitively understand the mathematical nature of the universe, even though, having previously dropped out of college, he had little formal academic training. He decided to return to college to study number theory. To date, fewer than 100 cases of acquired savant syndrome have been identified. However, its existence has led some researchers to argue that there is a hidden genius within us all, and also to look for ways in which this talent potential could be unlocked. The brain is the result of millions of years of evolution from a simple version. Nematodes, fruit flies, zebrafish, salamanders, mice and monkeys have fundamental similarities to the human nervous system. The process of evolution is reflected in your brain. The innermost, deep or reptilian part is in charge of the most basic and instinctive processes. Then there is the limbic system in charge of emotional processing. And then there is the outermost layer where the cerebral cortex is located, which is in charge of more complex functions and is an evolutionary neural region, which makes us more rational. The brain is the organ in charge of processing painful signals coming from nerve receptors located in the skin, joints, muscles, and visceral walls. Signals associated with an external physical or mechanical painful stimulus. However, the brain itself has no pain receptors. So, when brain surgery is performed, a patient is anesthetized to avoid scalp pain. To understand the connections of the living healthy human brain, the Human Connectome project was created in 2009 with the aim of mapping the brain circuits of an adult and providing information on how these connections underlie brain function, specific pathways related to certain cognitive functions. Their data revealed that the various regions of the brain are connected by some 160,000 kilometers of fibers, 4 times the circumference of the Earth, that constitute the so-called cerebral white matter. Of course, we now know that many ideas that for years were thought to be irrefutable facts are now myths that have been exposed. No, we do not only use 10% of our brain, we use other neurons it contains, not just a small fraction. The brain is so important that although it represents only 2% of body weight, it uses 20% of the entire body's intake and oxygen, with the greatest energy demand coming from neurons that depend on glucose. It consumes 5.6 mg of glucose per 100 grams of brain tissue per minute, and its work continues even when you are asleep or at rest. With the energy generated by the brain, you could light a 20-watt light bulb. When you concentrate hard, the brain can use up to 50% of the body's energy and oxygen. In fact, if neurons cannot get the glucose they need, it can even trigger a process of cell death by autophagy, lacking the food they need to function. These brain cells draw energy from themselves until they die. On the other hand, it is made up of 73% water, so if you suffer a dehydration of only 2%, it will cause some parts of the brain to smell and simple, monotonous tasks to become difficult to complete. And it is also made up of 60% fat, so people who eat a diet low in omega-3 fatty acids are more likely to suffer accelerated wear and tear on the brain. To survive, humans require a brain that is dynamic, flexible, efficient and adaptable to environmental changes. The brain's ability to change its structural and functional organization in response to various stimuli and the environment is inhibited when we deprive the body of rest, 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day. Ideas and memories produce changes in our brain. Each idea and memory generate new connections in your brain. That means that right now, a new connection is being created in your brain, giving rise to what is known as neural plasticity. The brain appears to continue to change dynamically throughout adulthood and middle age. For example, in one study it was observed that information processing speed seems to peak around age 18 or 19 and then immediately begins to slow down. Meanwhile, short-term memory continues to improve until around age 25, when it stabilizes, and then begins to decline around age 35. However, the ability to assess other people's emotional state, the peak occurred much later, in the 40s or 50s. The researchers also include a vocabulary test, which serves as a measure of what is known as crystallized intelligence, the accumulation of facts and knowledge that peak late in life, between the ages of 60 and 70. However, there is a stage when the brain goes through a phase of profound reorganization during puberty that is necessary for the development of complex thinking. Humans as social beings are also affected by communication. A book published by psychiatrists Mark Waldman and Andrew Newberg tells how words can change your brain. Words with negative connotations generate a release of cortisol, the stress hormone, which makes us alert, while positive words trigger the release of dopamine, the reward and feel-good hormone. The human brain can store up to 4.7 million books, 10 times more than originally thought. Scientists discovered that on average, one synapse can hold approximately 4.7 bytes of information. This means that the human brain has a capacity of 1 petabyte, which is the same as 20 million Ford file cabinets full of text, 13.3 years of HDTV recordings, or 670 million web pages. The brain is made up of two halves, the right half called the right hemisphere and the left half called the left hemisphere. Both hemispheres are connected to each other by a structure called the corpus callosum, made up of millions of nerve fibers that run throughout the brain. Although they are almost identical in size, the two hemispheres are not used in the same way and have different functions. Thanks for watching this video and find me every day on my worlds.